Hey, John.
Hi, Gary. How are you?
Pretty good. Just got the stuff in today.
Great. Great. Is it all there?
It's all there.
Okay.
It's already been built. You're ready to go.
Okay. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
You're listening to KPEP. The following is a public service message from this station and Washington State University Pesticide Education Program. Do you know how to transport pesticides safely?
That's it, huh, Gary?
That's stuff.
Boy, I've been here before. Gosh, I don't understand.
You're listening to KPEP. The following is a public service message from this station and Washington State University Pesticide Education Program. Do you know how to transport pesticides safely?
Hi, Gary.
Hello.
Haven't I been here before?
Not in the last month you haven't.
No? Okay.
You're listening to KPEP. The following is a public service message from this station and Washington State University Pesticide Education Program. Do you know how to transport pesticides safely?
Hi, Gary.
Hello.
I know I've been here before.
Not in the last month you haven't.
Either you're crazy or I'm crazy.
Hey, John.
Yeah, Gary.
Don't forget your manifest.
Oh, okay. Thanks a bunch.
Hey, John, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
Hey, you give me a hand. I gotta get this insecticide up in the back
Why
of
don't
this
you
truck.
climb up and I'll hand it up to you.
Oh, great. Thanks. I also have an extra tie-down strap up front. Would you hand that to me too, please?
What are you going through all this trouble for?
Oh, I just don't want all this chemical bouncing around on the back of this truck and spilling, so I'm going to cinch it down a couple of different ways. The nice thing about it, Rich, it's not raining today, so I don't have to worry about a tarp. Normally, I'd have to tarp this.
Well, it's going to be a nice day down in the river today.
Yeah, it'd be pretty good.
John, what's that complicated-looking piece of paper you got there?
Oh, it's a manifest. If it was a hazardous material, I'd have to have it for sure, but I'm just carrying it now, and anytime I got chemical in the back, if I ever had a wreck, something spilled, you know, these people would know what was in the back and what kind of material it was.
Well, that makes good sense.
It works. Before I go to the river, I'm going to drop this by the shop. I don't have any way to lock it up in the back, and it just wouldn't be safe to take it down there. So we'll just head to the shop and drop it off, then we'll go down to the river.
Sure, that sounds fine.
Man, it's been a long day. I swear I've lived it 4 different times.
Boy, what a mess. Fred was always so unorganized. I can't believe that after 30 years, he kept a pesticide storage shed that looks this bad. I'm glad he's finally retired.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that guy absolutely hated the regulations. And he was always trying to find somebody to do his work for him. But it looks to me like he couldn't find anybody to clean this place up.
Well, it's our mess now, so we better get to working to clean it up right. Carrie, do you have those regulations from the Washington Department of Agriculture?
Yeah. Here.
Well, let's look in there and see what we have to do first.
Well, let's see. It says we're not supposed to put anything else in the pesticide area other than pesticides.
Look at this bag of feed. Geez, I wonder if it's been contaminated.
Man, can you believe this? Fred must have kept all of his junk in here. Look at all of this stuff.
Well, first things first. We need to start sorting this stuff out. We'll put pesticides over here, the paint over here, and the garden tools somewhere else, and the rest of the stuff outside.
y'all think old Fred did? You think he sat in here smoking his cigarettes, feeding his kitty, watching TV?
Sure looks like
be.
it. Well, this university bulletin that we've been looking at actually tells us exactly what kind of a storage area we should have. But I don't really think there's a lot that we can do about that. I mean, this is the only place that we have to store this stuff.
Well, what do the guidelines say this has to be?
Well, let's see. Okay, it says it should have a cement floor but cannot have a drain. So we're okay there. Let's see, there should be plenty of ventilation. It should be insulated, and that probably means it shouldn't get too hot or too cold. You know, it shouldn't freeze in here. It should be dry with no leaks from rainfall or seeping of water. And shoot, there should be plenty of light so that you can see what you're doing.
It's kind of dark in here.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go get a higher wattage bulb.
Well, it says something about being fireproof, but it seems that if we actually built a shed, that could get pretty expensive.
Yeah, but a spill or a fire could be even more expensive. So maybe we'll just work with the shed we have now and consider building a new one in the future if we get more money. Those guidelines, you know, they're for perfect people in a perfect world, so we'll just deal with what we have now.
Good idea. Let's see. It says to always store pesticides in their original containers. Don't pour off a partial amount into other containers. Well, that sounds logical. You know, I wonder what was actually in that maple syrup container that Jeff found. It says something about putting transparent tape over the label, and I guess that's to sort of protect the label so that it doesn't become unreadable. Let me see. Yeah, and label must be readable so that you always know what's in each container.
Yeah, look, here's one that's ripped.
Yeah. Could fix that up.
You know, I can make out most of the labels on these containers, and some, like this one, even have these plastic sleeves. But other ones, look at this one. I mean, it's right next to this gopher bait, and the mouse probably chewed this one all up.
Yeah, we can sure be more careful about labels from now on. What else does that sheet say?
Okay. Let's see. It says be sure all open containers are kept securely closed, sealed. This will help prevent accidental spills and keep fumes from escaping.
Yeah, fumes would be really bad if somebody had to work in here.
Yeah.
So let's check all these and make sure they're sealed tight.
It also mentions that open bags of wettable and soluble pesticides should be closed up in sealable plastic bags. Well, that's a good idea. That'll help keep them from getting wet. You know, moisture won't get in then, and probably help keep them from getting tears too, so that pesticide's not spilling out onto the floor.
Well, this is an open bag here, so I better go get a large plastic bag, put it in.
Okay.
Hey, I have a really great idea. When Fred left, he's got this great big cabinet in his office, and I don't want it in there anymore, so I was going to give it to either you or Jeff, and we could just bring it in here now and store the pesticides inside of that cabinet.
Is that metal cabinet?
Yeah, it's a metal cabinet with a lock on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it said in those guidelines that we've been looking at that you need to actually put any pesticide that's labeled danger or danger poison in a locked cabinet. So that'd be perfect.
Yeah, that'd be great. And that gopher bait, I know, says danger poison. Is there anything In the guidelines, it says how we should put these containers in that cabinet.
Yeah, I thought I saw that. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Store pesticides in glass bottles on lower shelves so that sunlight cannot heat them, especially if your storage area is not insulated against heat. Heat could cause containers to break or explode. Yeah, we wouldn't want that happening.
Well, glass containers on the bottom shelf also means it's harder for them to fall off and break. Sounds logical.
Okay, it suggests that you store herbicides separately from insecticides and fungicides so that you don't accidentally use a wrong chemical or cross-contaminate product.
Well, let's get to work.
All right. Let's see. We've got our wettable powders and dusts on the top shelf and our liquids on this next shelf and our glass bottles on the bottom shelf. So that's good. It also mentions in here that we should keep an inventory of all the pesticides we have and with the purchase date too. So that way we can use up everything, the older stuff first, and we'll know what's in here in case there's some sort of emergency.
Well, who knows when half this stuff was purchased? We'll have to use the old stuff up, though, as soon as we can. We can do the inventory, though.
Okay. Okay, let's see. The regulations say that if a pesticide label says danger or danger poison, it is considered a Category 1 pesticide. You must put up a warning sign that says danger, poison, storage area, keep out, with letters large enough to be read from about 30 feet away. Okay, now we're going to need to put a sign on the outside of the building too, since we have this storage cabinet in the building.
Well, I'll go make those signs for the building door and for the cabinet door. Okay?
Okay, that sounds good. All right. Hey, it looks like we're about done. What do you think? I think it looks pretty good. I think this place is about where it should be. It's up to snuff. Hey, I've got an idea. Now that he's gone, this place needs to be checked regularly for spills, the inventory kept current. Let's make him responsible. What do you think?
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
All right.
Now, is that metal cabinet that he had in there?
Yeah, that's that metal cabinet.
That's a great idea.
That would have been great if I didn't start laughing.
Okay. Well,
His face just kills me. You're just like, hey, idiot.
The vast majority of pesticide products come packaged in a variety of plastic containers. Every year, Washington's agricultural industry empties about 250,000 plastic pesticide containers. Each and every container requires safe and proper disposal to ensure a clean, healthy environment and the continued availability of pesticides without further burdensome regulations.
We didn't take them real seriously, Gary. We allowed them to accumulate, and we've hauled them to a landfill. At the time, that was a hole in the ground, and then we used them for equipment stands, and the plastic ones we burned.
Right now, there are only two disposal options for plastic pesticide containers: landfilling or recycling. Plastic containers can only be buried in approved landfills. It's illegal to dump, bury, or burn plastic containers anywhere else. Unfortunately, public concerns about improper container disposal has generated more stringent policies at many municipal landfills. Many landfills are becoming reluctant to accept empty pesticide containers because their sites are becoming overburdened and local officials are concerned about liability. Some landfills in Washington have fairly lenient acceptance standards for pesticide containers. Others may require paperwork and additional fees. Some landfills will not accept any pesticide containers. Pesticide users need to consider whether recycling plastic containers is a viable disposal option. Recycling containers relieves pressure on the landfills, and it also recovers a valuable resource. However, recycling requires strict attention to proper handling when rinsing and storing empty containers. The Agricultural Plastics Research Council has sponsored a national recycling program since 1988. As of 1992, 30 states, including Washington, participate in the recycling program. Working separately in 1988, the Columbia Basin Fieldmen and Dealers Association and the Washington Pest Consultants Association brought the plastic container recycling efforts to Washington. In 1992, they combined their efforts for spring and fall recycling collections.
This allows us to recycle that material, and most of it goes back into pesticide containers mixed with virgin plastic and into more pesticide containers. They're used in drainage tiles, and they're even working on a program to make plastic fence posts.
Plastic containers intended for recycling must be clean and dry, inside and out. This means absolutely no residues. Stains that do not come off are acceptable, but any hint of a residue will cause the container to be rejected. As soon as the last drop of product is emptied from the container, rinse the container, inside and out. Some products dry very quickly, so waiting just 5 minutes to rinse after emptying a container may substantially reduce your ability to remove all the residue. There are two methods used to rinse containers: pressure rinsing and multiple rinsing. There are various types of pressure rinsing nozzles. Pressure rinsing is usually superior to multiple rinsing because the force of the water rinses the container more thoroughly. It is also easier and much faster. To use a pressure rinse nozzle, first drain the container into the spray tank. Puncture the container with a stabbing motion through the side and close to the bottom. Rinse for 20 to 30 seconds or until the rinsate is clear. Be sure and rotate the nozzle so that water reaches all interior surfaces. The water stream must go through the handle to remove all the residue. Drain the rinsate into the spray tank. To multiple rinse a container, drain the product into the spray tank for an extra 30 seconds. Fill the container 1/5 to 1/4 full with water. Replace the cap and secure it. Rotate the container so water rinses all the interior surfaces. Drain the rinsate into the spray tank for 30 seconds. Repeat the process at least 2 more times. The rinsate must be clear and the container clean with no residues, inside or out. Don't forget to rinse the outside of the container as well. Many innovative applicators have designed rinsing equipment to accommodate large 30 and 55-gallon containers. In this case, the rinsate is then used in the spray mix. Once the container is rinsed, double check and make absolutely certain there are no residues present. Stains are acceptable. Remove the foil seal from the container neck. Small remnants of the foil attached to the neck are allowed, but the majority of the seal must be removed. Glued-on labels may remain on the container for recycling. Remove slip-on plastic labels. Remove caps. Slip-on plastic labels and caps are different types of plastic and cannot be recycled with the containers. Whether you recycle or not, the law requires all containers be rendered useless. So puncture or otherwise make the containers unusable. Cutting a container in half will render it useless and aid the drying process. This reduces the necessary storage space. Store rinse containers for the next container collection, but consider the integrity of the storage area. The storage area should be covered to keep rain out of the dry containers and to prevent unwanted additions of contaminated containers. Remember, only properly prepared, clean, dry containers will be accepted. Any sign of contamination or moisture will cause rejection at a container collection.
Every year at our container recycling and collection days, we receive containers that are brought in that are unacceptable for recycling. Some of the problems that we commonly run into are residues on the outside of the container, such as you see here, or residues on the inside of the container. Also, the neck of the container is a common problem area where residues can collect and they're a little difficult to rinse out. That's an advantage to using the pressure wand, which seems to alleviate that problem. A stain, such as you see around the neck of the container here, is not a problem. That is acceptable, whereas a residue is not. Also, if the container is not stored properly after rinsing, it's common for water to get inside the container, and we can't accept them in that condition. The basic rule of thumb is that if you must keep the containers clean and dry, inside and out, to be acceptable.
Recycling containers benefits pesticide users, the agrochemical industry, and society. Proper handling of plastic pesticide containers will save you money. Recycling recovers a renewable resource and protects our environment. The Washington Pest Consultants Association and local cooperating groups hope to recycle at least 10% of the plastic containers generated in Washington within the next several years. Nationally, the Agricultural Plastics Research Council has a goal of recycling at least 25% of the containers generated by 1996. Recycling pesticide containers is a step in the right direction to lessen the burden on our landfills, but industry needs packaging alternatives to alleviate all disposal problems. Some agrochemical manufacturers are responding to the disposal problem with new packaging strategies. The industry may see even more returnable, refillable, or problem-free containers, such as water-soluble packs or dispersible tablets. But for the time being, if all those using plastic pesticide containers rinse and recycle them, we will be taking positive steps to keep our environment healthy, while maintaining pesticides as a viable pest management option for the future.